we want people to, feel a sense of happiness and calmness with this album. It's a bit of a troubled times these days. So the more we can, get people to sort of come along and be happy with us, the happier we are.
Imagine going from world famous flamenco dancer to jazz artist based right here in Las Vegas. That's the journey of Andy James. Her brand new album, Happy People, is out now on the Coq Records, streaming everywhere. And you can check her out at andyjames.com and follow her on Instagram. And Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So I
Great
had
to
to
be
ask
here.
it because somebody will ask me to ask you that. It's A-N-D-Y, not A-N-D-I.
That's right.
And that's so
Thank
unusual for someone like yourself to have it as Y instead of I. But then again, you're from Australia, right?
Yes.
So is that why it's a Y instead of an I?
That's just the way they called me. That's the way they spelled it. My father spelled it that way, so I just went with it.
Fair enough. Tell me about your experience because you started out as a flamenco dancer. So give us a little sense of your background there, and then we'll talk about how you segued into jazz.
Well, my father was a flamenco aficionado. He just loved flamenco. And my mother loved jazz, and she was a jazz singer. So every morning, every day, we'd have music around the breakfast table, be either flamenco or jazz. And I just decided to do the flamenco first, and I went with that. So then I went to Spain and studied in Spain, and I studied in Australia first, then I studied in Spain, and then I eventually moved to Spain and worked in Spain and worked in Europe.
What differentiates flamenco dancing from any other kind of dancing? What is unique about that?
It's very similar to Indian Kathak dancing. It's got all the different rhythms from the gypsy feel, and you use your arms as well. So it's different to say Scottish dancing or Irish dancing, and it's different than Indian dancing because we wear shoes. We wear shoes with nails in them, so we get a sound.
Ah, interesting. When you decided to make that transition to jazz, was that part of your background as well initially? And you just initially decided to concentrate on flamenco dancing and then shifted to jazz, or was jazz a whole new world for you?
Well, I used to sing with my mother. She would sing all the time. She'd play Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Ray Charles. She'd play that as well. So I would sing with her as well.
So how did you decide to make that transition? What was the impetus for it? Or all of a sudden now you're going to go full time into jazz singing?
Well, I'd been dancing for quite a few years, and you sort of learn to live with an ice pad.
Wait, hold on one second. Wait, I'm going to start to have you start that again. Your husband is moving around and his shadow is reflecting on the background there.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
he needs to sit down or just stand in one position.
It's hyperactive.
No, he is, but his shadow keeps going back and forth in the background. Okay, let's pick it
Okay.
up from there. Go ahead and start again. Thanks.
Well, my injuries started to mount up with the dancing. I'd have an ice pack and a heat pad, and you know, I missed the jazz. And also, Chick Corea would come to Spain regularly, and Paco de Lucia worked with Chick Corea and the Spanish Heart. He had the Spanish Heart Band, and they said, well, why don't you, you know, try and do that as well? Maybe do a flamenco album and mix it all together. And I thought, at the time, I thought, well, I'm doing flamenco, so I'll just concentrate on that. But then I thought, well, why not?
Did you discuss it with your husband, Piero, who is you're also your partner in the record business?
Yes,
And was
yes.
he
He
was he
was also my partner in flamenco.
when you say your partner in flamenco, meaning a dance partner or a business?
Yes, we
Oh,
danced
okay.
together.
Oh,
We danced
very good.
together for years.
So did he have the same interests as you did in jazz? His background is different, of course, than yours. You grew up, as you mentioned, your mother listened to all these wonderful jazz singers, primarily American. Was your husband involved in any of that in his background?
Classical piano and ballet.
Okay.
So he's a very talented songwriter. He reads music fluently, and he's very talented, that also talented ballet dancer who moved to flamenco. So
So
he does it.
what was the how did you go about that final decision to make that segue? You're talking about your injuries, and clearly people who sing for a living always have challenges in terms of vocal injuries or vocal fatigue, etc. So I'm sure you have those as well as anybody would at singing, but clearly they're a lot less injurious than it would be if you were still dancing.
I have a diffuser. I have it on all the time. It's on 24 hours a day, and it keeps the air moist. I think moisture is the really important thing.
You mean
Also, I don't. Sorry.
you mean a humidifier, right? Which I guess is the
Yes.
same as a diffuser. Okay. I
Oh,
just know it as a
sorry. Is that
humidifier.
what it's
That's
called?
okay. So you're based in Las Vegas now, so you've had to deal with the famous dry heat of Las Vegas.
Yes, that's right. We're away a lot, though.
Yes. Do you travel with the humidifier or the diffuser when you perform?
Yes.
And when you travel around, are you traveling with a group, meaning a band, a trio, quartet, or do you pick up musicians along the way? How does that work?
Um, John Coward comes with me, my pianist, arranger, and fellow songwriter. And depending, Alex Acuna often comes. Mino Sineluk from Weather Report, the percussion players come. Um, Canito, who's based in Madrid, Sevilla. He's my flamenco guitarist. We pick him up there, and depending on who's available, we'll pick people up along the way.
Are these some of the same people you use in the recordings? And I'll talk about your recording in a couple of minutes, but are they the same people that you use in the recordings?
Yes,
Where did you first meet Piero?
we actually met at a rehearsal for Carmen, and we had flamenco dances. You know the opera, Carmen the opera,
Yes.
and we were flamenco dancers in it. So we met at a rehearsal.
So you had
And
you had that in common right then.
yes, we did. We
Yeah.
did. Piero's sister and his brother used to, while he was ballet dancing, they were flamenco dancers in Sydney. So he knew the flamenco dancers as well. And he transitioned from ballet to flamenco.
Ah, one other question before we get back to your current career and recording. Do you still stay in touch with the world of flamingo?
Not as much as I used to. When we go back to Australia, which is, I haven't been back since 2016, but when we do go back, I stay in touch. And of course, there's Canito. He plays flamenco and he plays for dancers. And so I was actually in contact with him just recently. So yes.
Hmm. Your current album is called Happy People. And do you know any happy people?
Um,
You have to, right?
Yeah, I'm part-time happy. We want
Part-time is
people,
good.
yeah, that's right. We want people to, feel a sense of happiness and calmness with this album. It's a bit of a troubled times these days. So the the more we can, get people to sort of come along and be happy with us, the happier we are.
Was it recorded in one location or was it in different studios around the world or different places around the world until you put it all together, which is kind of common these days?
We recorded it we recorded in Sevilla, we recorded in Rome, we recorded in New York, and we recorded in Las Vegas. Josh Connolly, who's been my mixer for 7 years, he has a great studio in Las Vegas, so we recorded it here in Las Vegas, and then we mixed it in Los Angeles with Bernie Grunman, who's based in Los Angeles. So it was actually recorded all over the place. It took a year to do it.
I bet. It's interesting. I'm listening to your accent and I love accents. So your Australian accent is very strong. Clearly, when you sing, it's a different approach, right?
Yeah, I prefer to be understood when I'm singing.
Oh,
I, I'm working on the accent for when I'm speaking, but I still keep going back to this really strong Australian Fitzroy Melbourne accent. It's
I don't
just,
know. It has a charming aspect to it, so I'd keep it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
How did you how did you and Piero decide on the selection for Happy People? Now, this is before I ask you that, let me back up. How many albums have you done so far?
Um, we've done, I have to think.
About six?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So this is, let's say, assume this is your seventh album. Do you find that as you record each album, you learn certain
Oh,
different,
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
either different approaches or different techniques or different ways of approaching the material?
Yeah, we're like a family now. We kind of can actually sort of preempt each other's moves and approaches to things. John Coward's arrangements and approaches. He arranges things with such feeling and such emotion, and I always find that it's just great fun singing to the stuff he arranges, and when the songs come out together, they just really gel well.
When you record, and I've asked this question of many guests, but it's different when you're recording an album in a studio or studios in various locations, but that as opposed to performing live. And for you, I guess I'll ask the same questions. What's the main difference for you? I know that in recording you can take one, two, take three, take four, until you get it the way you want. You can tweak it, and you can do all kinds of editing to make it crystal perfect or crystal clear and perfect. But when you're performing live, there's an excitement you don't get with recording. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what's the difference for you in terms of recording versus performing live?
Well, when you're performing live, anything can happen. You can just start one song and finish another song. Things happen. People lose their charts, and people, you fall over perhaps, or anything can happen. So it's a completely different vibe. If someone makes a mistake, you kind of have to go with it, and you have to just kind of make it up on the spot. Sometimes it's 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 an adrenaline rush because you know you never know what's going to happen.
Do you ever get, and this is somewhat of a obvious question, but do you ever, when you perform, and you're not necessarily in Australia, wherever you perform in Las Vegas or outside somewhere in the United States, do you ever have Australians in the audience that come up to you after the show and say, "Hey, we sound alike," or something like that?
Well, there was a woman called Nisha Fitzgibbon, who's a jazz artist from Australia that I didn't actually know, but I caught up with her about a month ago. She was working here in Las Vegas. I wasn't performing, but I caught up with her. Um, I haven't actually met any other Australians when I've been performing myself, so no.
I thought you would, just because there's so many Australians that are all over the place. So that's why I thought, but I guess not. Okay, but it could happen. So let's.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So getting back to the album Happy People, and again, it's available on all the streaming services. And if you go to andyjames.com, you get all the information there as well, and follow her on Instagram. When you put the album together, how did you decide to structure it? Was there a theme, or you just picked individual songs to reflect the concept of the title, which is Happy People?
Um, we actually had the theme of wanting to, make people feel good about the times that we're in at the moment, and also we've fused flamenco with jazz, so it was a sort of a synthesis together, and that was the theme. We picked the songs pretty carefully, all of us, and the covers. We did a version of Caravan that's kind of like a Sole Upper Bullarias, which is a 12/8 feel, which is really great fun to do a cover that's so completely different. So we picked the covers. There's two covers, Besame Mucho and Caravan. The rest of them, we wrote them together, Piero part of myself and John Coward, and then he arranged them.
When did you move to Las Vegas?
Um, I've been coming here since 97, but we moved here in 2014.
Oh, okay. So what's your take on Las Vegas as an entertainer and as a recording artist?
Las Vegas has a multitude of fabulous performers. Great people come in here all the time. Comedians, singers, great big artists. There's a few jazz clubs opening around Las Vegas, like Maxan Jazz and Bix Jazz, and it's a fantastic place.
So you find, yeah, you find that, I mean, we're obviously smaller than Los Angeles, but there's so much more entertainment, I think, here, concentrated in a smaller area, the Strip downtown, even some of the suburbs where you have jazz clubs and other entertainment venues as well. So do you feel that you're a native to not a native, but do you feel like you're used to being in Las Vegas now since it's been several years? Or I know you travel to perform, but do you find that you can call this home now?
Definitely. I wouldn't live anywhere else now. This is my home. I'll stay here until I drop dead.
You'll stay here with your humidifier.
Yeah, that's right. Me and my humidifier.
Yeah, and your husband. And if you have to chuck one, which one would it be? No, you don't have to do that one. So, some of your other albums were Caravan, I think it was in 2018, and Shared Lives. Blue was another one in 2019. Uh, you've been fairly prolific in your recordings. Do you see yourself in a certain vein of jazz in the near future? Do you want to branch out and do other kinds of performances?
At the moment, I want to keep doing the flamenco jazz fusion. It's just great fun, and it's a different sound. It's following on from what Chick Corea did. He did it so wonderfully. He did it just. He was just this fantastic genius, and since he's gone, no one else is doing it. So.
So
we're enjoying what we're doing as long as we keep enjoying what we're doing.
Right. You're picking up the pieces of a great legend. So
yeah, that's right.
A good way to follow. Have you found that because of your background, and it's an unusual one, flamenco and then jazz, are you able to relate to other artists that may not have that same background? They may just have a singing background, but not a dance background, or they may have a dance background and not a singing background. So, although I would imagine all artists and entertainers kind of get along with each other because it's coming from the same creative channel in a sense.
Well, definitely, I relate to singers who sing just jazz because I loved Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald and those fabulous artists from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and onwards.
Right.
So yes, and with flamenco, it's the same thing because there's some wonderful flamenco dancers around, and at one stage I was just flamenco dancing, just singing in little clubs around Europe and in Spain. And so yes, I can relate to both of them.
Yeah. When you're writing and creating, how does that process work for you? Do you set aside an hour a day, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, or is it just when the inspiration hits you? Or I'm just curious about your approach to it when you're writing with your husband and creating. Is it on a systematic basis, or is it just when the spark hits?
It's I'll come up with a melody, and Piero will come up with a musical line for it on the piano, and we'll work together and see how whether we like it, and if we don't like it, we'll drop it. If we do like it, we'll keep going with it, and then we'll present it to John Coward, and John will listen to it and write up a score for it, and we'll kind of discuss whether we keep the same chords that we had, or whether we'll use the chords that he sometimes changes the chords, and we'll have a little bit of a discourse about that. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. Often I do agree with John because he's a great arranger, and so yeah, we're pretty prolific.
When you are writing or creating with your husband, does a disagreement occur, a creative disagreement occur? And since you're not just partners, but you're married as well, does it ever become an issue? You have to kind of separate out one from the other?
Funnily enough, we don't argue that much about. That's not the stuff we argue about. We have lots of other stuff to argue about.
But not the creative part. That's pretty interesting.
No, we're pretty good about that. It's more sort of you left this on the floor or
Oh
whatever,
yeah.
stupid stuff.
Yeah, of course. That's always the case. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or why didn't you move that off the table and put it back?
yeah, that's
Wow.
right.
I get you. Okay. Fair enough.
Why are you being so picky?
Yeah. Well, is there one theme that you guys look at to target in your music and in your singing? Is there well, we mentioned the current album, which as you mentioned is happiness, but are there other themes that you like to perform or write about and perform? I should probably phrase it that way.
Well, I actually love ballads. I used to love that. I still love some of the most beautiful songs that Sarah Vaughan would sing in really romantic ballads. So romance, love and romance are definitely, that's a really big thing for me. I love the heavy duty ballads, Danny Boy and songs like that. Where do I begin? Just some of the most beautiful songs.
A lot of people I talk to that are in the performing world have, and this is not a condemnation, this is actually just an observation, have a strong ego because that helps them to perform. You appear to me as to being low key and not having an ego in the sense of getting in the way of your performance. Would I be correct in my assumption?
Um, well, before I perform, I meditate. I'm a nervous performer. I get nervous. I'm not.
Really? I don't see that in you now. I'm looking at you for
No.
those who are listening. I'm actually watching you as well, Andy James, whose album is called Happy People again. So you're actually nervous when you get on. So you meditate before you go on stage, and that helps with the nervousness.
It does.
Ah, well,
Because anything can happen, you don't know what's going to
well,
happen. So
sure, yeah.
the last thing you want to do is freak out because you just fell off the stage or something.
But I guess I was thinking more that you don't let ego get in the way of your performance. You're really more meditating to make sure your performance is relaxed, for want of a better term.
Well, it's funny because you're nervous when you first go on, but after a while you start to just really enjoy it.
Right.
So, I start to have a really great time. I'm with such great musicians, and
I
I'm
guess
so
what
lucky to have these great people around me that it
sure.
becomes great fun.
I guess what I'm trying
So
to
I
say,
don't know where the ego comes in that actually.
no, that's what I'm saying. I think you strike
Excuse
me,
me.
we've not met before, but you strike me as a normal person, not a typical performer that has a certain performance aspect to them, even when they're doing an interview. So therefore, I assume from that ego is not an issue for you in terms of just you want to go and perform on stage, do the work, or record in the studio and do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not
That's good.
I'm not the type to have a hissy fit
Yeah, I
in the
figured that.
middle of it.
Yeah. What's the reaction from audiences when you do perform in clubs around the country and around the world? Do they appreciate, first of all, obviously they'll appreciate you, but do they also appreciate the work as well? These are primarily, I assume, jazz fans or people that want to hear jazz. So what's generally the reaction of the audiences when you're out there performing with your group?
Well, they actually seem to really enjoy it. They're very, very appreciative, and they often stand up and um, they love the flamenco. They love the flamenco dancing. They like the percussion. Um, the audience really seem to appreciate it. I have not been with an audience yet that just sit there and go, luckily.
But it's also too because you're performing a lot of your own material. And sometimes you mentioned Sarah Vaughan as an example. She
Yes.
has certain songs that she's known for. And if you were to sing Sarah Vaughan songs or other artist songs, the audience would react because they recognize the song and then they have you as the artist performing it. So it's a different reaction than when you're performing your own material, I would think.
Um, yeah, well, you know what people are like when they hear something that they've heard before.
Right. Because
You know,
you mentioned Caravan I'll use that as an example. People know Caravan, although your version is totally different, but even so, they get the sense of it.
Yeah, well, people have their favorite songs, definitely. You know, there'll be if people like the song, we performed some Ray Charles songs like, you know, I Can't Stop Loving You and stuff like that. People just really like that song.
Yeah,
I love that song.
imagine.
So if you perform a famous song that people like, the audience like it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Sarah Vaughan. One last question with that. I was just thinking about that. I have a feeling, and I haven't asked you this before, but I have a feeling you have her actual albums rather than CDs or digital recordings of Sarah Vaughan. Would I be correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're correct.
What about you?
I have albums and I have CDs.
Right. There's something about albums. If you've got vinyl, there's that whole different world, I guess. Well, before I let you go, what would you like people to take away from your current album? It's called Happy People again. It's out on Coq Records and available on all the streaming platforms. What would you like people to take away from it?
Well, I just like people to um, see the beauty in the flamenco and appreciate the rhythms and the beats and the emotion that comes from flamenco. And I hope that they, you know, get a sense of happiness and well-being from this album.
Well, that's a great way to leave it. My guest has been jazz artist Andy James. Her latest album, Happy People. It's a 16-track album from Coq Records. It's available on all music streaming platforms. For everything about Andy James, go to andyjames.com, and you can follow her on Instagram. And Andy, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
See you next time.